Hey, welcome to One Awesome Autistic. I'm Lee, I'm autistic and I also have ADHD. And welcome to the first bonus video. This is the first bonus video that I have done. I started my channel in April time and I went from one video to 2 videos, and just for a temporary amount of time there's now going to be 3 videos because I wanted to do something separate from the normal content, and that is I'm going to be reviewing the first episode of Love on the Spectrum. Obviously I'll be talking about things that happen in this episode, so if you haven't seen it there will be spoilers because I'm going to be breaking down the episode, talking about what happens, talking about my opinions on it as an autistic person. And I decided to review it one episode at a time rather than the whole series at once because, don't know if you've noticed, I'm somebody with a lot of opinions. I feel that if I did the series as a whole, that it would be too vague and I would miss bits of information that maybe you might feel is important or that I might feel that is important to the series or to talk about the series, and I didn't want to end up with like a 2-3 hour long video of me talking about everything that happens in the whole series. So I'm going one episode at a time, that's the plan, we'll see how it goes. So obviously I've watched the first episode and not watched anything else at this present time because I didn't want to be influenced by what happens in the future on my opinions on the first episode. So I will have some questions that, for those of you that have seen the full series, may already know the answer to. And I do have to say that I am a bit of a sucker for romance. I did try and watch The Undateables, which has some autistic people on, but I just found it a little bit exploitative, I suppose, of the characters, and it made me very uncomfortable as an autistic person watching it. So I'm not usually as much of a fan of seeing people with different abilities, disabilities, however you want to word it, on dating shows, but I have watched other reality dating shows and also found those a little bit cringy as well. So reality dating shows I'm a bit hit and miss with, so I wasn't sure whether I was going to like this show going into it, so we'll have to see on further episodes whether I actually end up enjoying it completely or not. The basic premise is very easy to follow. In this first episode we are shown 4 different autistic people and we will be following their journey on dating, relationships and that kind of thing, and there's a narrator of the show as well. It helps move things along, but also helps explain stuff to do with autism, which is quite helpful as well. We'll say things like autistic people find this kind of thing hard, so that people who aren't autistic, don't have any experience with autistic people, can follow along, and it helps them understand why this is happening, why this isn't happening, and that kind of thing. And then we also get interviews with the people as well, just kind of sat in front of a camera with somebody behind the camera asking them questions. So we get that first-hand point of view of answers on love and romance and dating and those sorts of things. The first person we're introduced to is Michael. Michael is a very honest person. He is bluntly honest. So this can come across as rude to some people, but he's just basically saying what's on his mind, and I don't personally see anything wrong with that. But then I'm also a bit of a blunt person. Not quite as blunt as Michael, but I can come across like that at times, so I understand him a little bit. I also feel like I've seen him somewhere before, but I'm not sure where. So if he has been on another TV show or anything like that, and anybody knows that, pop it in the comments below and let me know. We also see Michael's family, and we see them having multiple different conversations about dating and things like that, with a lot of the information being given by Michael himself and what his views on things are. His sister seems very nice in trying to sort of say to Michael that, like, you're not the other person that's finding it difficult dating, that just because you're autistic doesn't mean you find it difficult dating, that people who aren't autistic also have these difficulties, which is true as well. Now, Michael's family do have a tendency to laugh a lot at what he says, and this makes me a little bit uncomfortable, but you've got to bear in mind that these people are being filmed, so they're in an unnatural setting. We see them, but we don't see what's on the other side of the camera, where there is, you know, various guys with cameras and people with sound mics and things like that. Just be one guy with a camera that has a sound mic attached to it, for all we know, but we can't see what's going on. But regardless whether it's one person or five, that's an unnatural situation to be in. So it may just be that it's just a nervous laugh for them. Maybe they're worried that of the way Michael may come across to people, so they laugh to make it a light situation, as though to say, well, he's just humorous and he's funny. Throughout the episode we're seeing a lot of Michael's opinions on relationships, and to him the absolute pinnacle of life is to find a good wife and to be a good husband, and that is it. That is life for him, that's what he wants. We don't actually see much of any other part of his life apart from the fact that he lives with his family. That's it. Don't know if he works, what kind of social life he has or anything. It's just all focused on Michael and his dating and his idea to find a wife. And we do see Michael go through kind of like a speed dating kind of scenario where he meets a few other autistic people, and he does actually click with one girl there, and he actually does ask her for a date. Now, considering how blunt and to the point Michael is, he doesn't actually say the words, do you want to go on a date with me? He kind of almost finds that hard to ask. That was interesting to see, that maybe when he's uncomfortable he can't quite get the words out, which is quite normal. When I'm uncomfortable I can't think what to say properly and I stumble over my words as well. So maybe that's what he was feeling. But we don't get to see his date in this episode. We're left on a kind of cliffhanger. For me, because of I feel a bit uncomfortable with Michael's constant brutal honesty and with how his family are constantly laughing and look like they're uncomfortable around him. That makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable, and it makes me kind of not interested in wanting to watch what happens with Michael as much. So even though it's left on a cliffhanger with his date, I'm actually not too fussed at the moment about finding how that date went. The second person we meet is Chloe. Now obviously it doesn't go all of Michael's story, Chloe all of Chloe's story. It swaps and changes in between all these people. I just want to talk about each person in one go rather than moving backwards and forwards. It's easier for me to keep track of, and I figured it'd be easier for you guys to keep track of as well. So we meet Chloe. And even though the show is in Australia, Chloe is actually originally from England, still got an English accent. Chloe hits the nail on the head straight away when she talks about her experiences in relationships and dating so far as somebody on the spectrum, in that, you know, she tells somebody that she's autistic in the past and they've just said to her, but you don't look autistic. And that is a common thread. I've mentioned that in another video as well. It is a common thread for a lot of autistic people, particularly people who are classed as sort of like high functioning or Asperger's or what have you, because we don't come across as being autistic because we obviously mask and things like that to try and appear normal. So she hits the nail on the head with that, and she brings up a fear for a lot of people as well when she talks about how when she was with somebody and she told them that she was diagnosed as Asperger's, that they actually left her. And this is one of the things that makes dating and relationships a very anxiety-ridden scenario for a lot of autistic people, is because you're constantly thinking about, when do I tell this person that I've been diagnosed as autistic, and if I tell them, are they going to leave me, are they going to think I'm weird, are they going to treat me any different? It's a big fear for a lot of people who are single. And we meet Chloe's dad as well. I love Chloe's dad. He is a brilliant representation of what a parent should be. Not just a parent of an autistic person, but a parent. He is so proud of his daughter. He actually gets choked up talking about her. He cannot say enough good things about her. He is such a nice person. That's how he comes across anyway. Such a nice person, such a great parent. Chloe does have obviously dating and relationship experience that she talks about, so this puts her in a different period in her life to say what Michael's at, because she has that small amount of experience. And I think it's the show that is setting her up on these dates She goes on a date with a guy, but it's very, very awkward for her, does not find it hard to communicate with each other, and she decides at the end of it that actually being a bisexual female, that she's not quite as attracted to men as she is to women, so would prefer to try and see how it is dating women instead. Her next date is with a gal called Lotus, and these two are just the cutest, and it's these moments that I absolutely live for with these TV shows. See the difference between Chloe's date with a guy and Chloe's date with Lotus. You can see the difference in the way she responds to the person. They obviously have a connection, they have some things in common straight away, and they seem to find it a lot easier to talk to each other. And it does get to a point where Lotus actually becomes overwhelmed because it's going so well, and because she likes Chloe so much from this date, that she kind of shuts down a bit. She becomes spacey. You can see her stimming with her hands, but Chloe asks Lotus if she's okay. She's a little bit worried, a little bit concerned about her, and I like the fact that they've shown this, because it breaks down one of those stereotypes that autistic people don't have empathy. We do, but maybe you just don't see it, or you just don't think we have it. But Chloe here is showing that she is empathetic towards Lotus. She's worried about how she's feeling, she wants to make sure she's okay. We have those feelings, they are there. In fact, sometimes we have them in abundance. And I related a lot to Chloe, particularly at the end of the day. The way she was like constantly smiling, and she was like looking forward to seeing Lotus again and that kind of thing. That's exactly how I felt when I met my boyfriend and we went on a first date. Those are the kind of things that I enjoy watching. As a bit of a difference, we have Thomas and Ruth, who are actually already in a relationship. They're both autistic, they live together, they've been together for 4 years, and we actually see them in this episode go on an anniversary date as well. And it shows how autistic people can be incredibly romantic, because Thomas plans this whole lovely date where he gets a car with a driver to take them to this nice romantic spot where they go and have this kind of like picnic, and it's absolutely adorable. And we also see as well how Thomas proposed to Ruth, which was absolutely adorable. He's a bus driver, and on his bus, instead of having the number and the location on the top, he had "Will you marry me" scrolling across the top, and he had the ring on him, so when she got on the bus he proposed, and obviously she said yes and everybody cheered, and it was absolutely adorable to watch. Thomas and Ruth, what I really like about those two is their wicked sense of humour with each other. They joke around a lot with each other, they have brilliant senses of humour, and they don't just joke with each other, they also joke with like the interviewer or whoever is on the other side of the camera. We see it on their dates as well, when they're joking about a script, because obviously, you know, it's quite well known that reality shows are actually scripted, so that was quite funny. And you do see them just joking about a lot, and that was really nice to see, because guess what, again, autistic people have senses of humour. Overall, the episode had some cringy moments where I was like, did they really need to put that into the final edit? But then I suppose a lot of autistic people, we don't have a filter sometimes. I know I don't. Sometimes I don't even think it before I say it. It comes out and then I hear myself saying it and I'm like, oh, should not have said that. That was very cringy. I have a lot of moments like that. So I suppose it is showing autistic people completely how they are, good and bad, which is really what we need to see. We need to see autistic people as a whole, not just good things, not just bad things, but everything. So I suppose, you know, does it have to be in there? Still not decided on that, but we'll see if there's any more of that in future episodes. In that way, it reminded me of the Undateables a little bit, but I felt the Undateables was a lot worse and a lot more exploitative. So I suppose some people, particularly some autistic people, may find it as exploitative. I have seen opinions online. Autistic people seem to either love or hate this program. Unlike a lot of autistic characters that are played by people in TV shows, it does feel like this show wants to show us more what autistic people are actually like as a whole. it feels more like it wants to show an authentic version of autistic people rather than an idealised version. Even though they've only shown 4 characters so far, it does feel like they're trying to break down the stereotypes of autistic people, that we don't have empathy, that we don't have sense of humour, that we don't get sarcasm, and those things have already been shown, so hopefully they will show more of that kind of thing, less stereotypical autistic people and more of a range of how autistic people are all different, because we are all different. You've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person. It's as simple as that. What I'm hoping for future episodes is a little bit more representation as well. I'm a white, female, autistic. I've experienced what dating is like from my point of view. I would like to see dating from other people's point of view, from other types of autistic point of view. So autistic people who also happen to be people of colour, autistic people who also happen to be trans or non-binary. That's what I'm hoping to see in future episodes, just to get a little bit more representation of different types of autistic people. I would like to see what they find difficult and what they find easy in the dating world, relationship world, and that. Also, what we've seen so far is just autistic and autistic. I'm in a relationship with a neurotypical person, but I only see it from being on the inside of the relationship. I don't know what it is like on the outside looking in. So it'd be very interesting for me to see autistic people going on dates, being in relationships with neurotypical people or other neurodivergent people that are not necessarily autistic, so maybe people who have ADHD and that kind of thing, or people with other disabilities. That would be interesting for me to see. And I know this is a reality show, it's not a scripted show, so to speak. So it's not like, oh, we'll just put this person with that person just because it'll make good TV. They're obviously wanting to put people together because that's the type of person that they are interested in. It's just sort of my opinion and my point of view of what I would like to see more on TV. The feel I get just from this episode is that the show is aimed more towards a neurotypical audience, because it's very explanatory on different autistic terms, what's it like for autistic people and things like that, and it's just the kind of feel I get from this one episode. Hopefully that feel might change further along in different episodes. Overall, I enjoyed watching the episode. Like I said, I'm a sucker for a good romance, so this sets up things nicely for the rest of the series. So I'm hoping it continues in that positive vein, and hopefully I will enjoy the rest of the series. But I'll be getting around to watching episode 2 soon, and I'll review episode 2 in a video next week for another bonus video for you guys. But until then, I shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.